Going back to the book, a little after 1700, General Gearhart came striding through the trees behind the company post hole. He came on serious business, that of giving orders for an attack. If he carried them by himself, they were important. Gentlemen, he said, with the edge to his voice that was impressive, the division attacks tomorrow at 0600, all along the line. This is the drive for St. Lo. There were few details. The battalions would attack, as the general had said, at 0600. The 1st Battalion would advance in a southwesterly direction with the village of Bellefontaine as its initial objective. That was about all there was to it, except for the usual information concerning artillery support, supplies, location of regimental command post, and that sort of thing. So pretty broad orders. Like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to attack tomorrow at 0600. The mission is to get St. Lo. Back to the book. By the time the order got down to the platoon leaders, and their part was pretty simple. All they, in turn, had to say was, all right, gang, let's take the next hedgerow. When the company commanders had gone, the staff discussed the plan of attack. The question bothering Johns most of all was where to put the advanced command post group. He wanted to hold casualties to the barest minimum, yet he wanted to be as far forward as possible. So he's talking about where should he actually position himself and his small team of battalion staff. Where should they position themselves? It's funny, too, because when we talk about battalion staff, you talk about, I don't know, a battalion staff can be pretty big when you're in a big battalion, but this is not a big group. This is a small group, especially because they've taken so many casualties. Back to the book. There were a number of good reasons for this. In the first place, keeping the command group close to the companies made a lot of difference in communications, particularly in this close wooded country. A clump of heavy trees or a high hedgerow could spell the margin between having contact and not having it. That was of supreme importance. Second, if you had, and this is why I always talk about keeping a plan simple, because when you start getting split up from people and you can't maintain communications with them, the difference between not having communications and having communications is night and day. It's disaster and success. It's victory and defeat. Back to the book. Second, if he had to move to a bogged down company or to any trouble spot, he wanted to have the shortest possible distance to go. So he wants to be close enough to have good communications. He also wants to be close enough that if something's going wrong, he can get there and make things happen. Third, the group couldn't afford to stay far behind in any event because they fully expected the German paratroopers to close in around them as soon as they started to advance. If the command post group were too far from the rifle companies, it would have a good chance of getting cut off and destroyed or captured. Then there was always the consideration that the men liked to know that the old man was not far behind, and to see him once in a while when the stuff was flying around. So these are things he's considering.